right, we are live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. You have me today, and I'm here with, if you don't know me, my name's Rad. I'm one of the founders of Unity Gym, along with Richard here and my brother Yanni, who isn't with us today. And we've got a great show for you today. It's all about the middle splits. It's all about how to get the side splits, aka middle splits, if you're not flexible. Now, I'm going to just really quickly apologize for the quality of my shot here. Normally, my computer is being repaired at the moment, warranty repair, and so I'm using my laptop. I've got my monitor here, I've got my computer there, and it all just looks a little bit funny. So I apologize for that. Sorry, but we're going to get into some really cool content here. How are you, Richie?
Right, awesome.
Make sure,
Glad to
make sure
be
my
here.
phone.
Monday morning here in Australia, looking sunny and not too cold.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Good,
Yep.
good weather here. And this video comes off our most popular video on YouTube ever. Currently, as we film this, it's got 803,000 views, 750 comments. It's clearly a subject that people are interested in, and it's something that Richard and I were looking through the comments to see that if we could find anything that we could answer in this video. But it's all just praise. People are talking about how this is such a great video and everything. So we really just want to talk through it, talk through about what we've learned about the middle splits and how we can help you. And I really want to, I want to preface by saying right now, as we record this video, I'm about to turn 44. I turn 44 in 2 weeks, and I wasn't flexible at all. Only about 6 or 7 years ago, I could not do the middle splits at all. I was probably about my best effort. I was about this far off the middle splits. And I made a decision in my mid to late 30s. I said, I'm going to get flexible. And I started working with some people. Notably, the people that I want to give credit to in this video is a good friend of mine, Aaron McKenzie, good friend of yours as well now, Richard. But Aaron and I go way back. We went to school together, moved out of home together. You can look at him on Instagram, Origin of Energy. He's taught me a lot about flexibility and helped us develop the UMS. And also my flexibility coach, Joachim Hilderson. You can search for him on Instagram, at Hilderson Joachim. And he's a phenomenal dude who I did online coaching with for the better part of a year. And yeah, using that knowledge that I've gained from multiple people over the years, we put together a really good way of getting flexible, and that's what we want to talk about in this video. And then Richard and Yanni both used it to get flexible themselves as well. Before I worked with Joachim and with Aaron, and we developed these methods for the UMS, and then Richard started doing them. You were a pretty stiff person as well, weren't you, Richard?
Yeah, 100%. For so long, I could barely touch my toes, that sort of stiff.
Yeah.
But following the principles that Rad's going to talk to you guys about today, I got basically chin to floor pancake within, I'd probably say a year of me doing these techniques, which is pretty reasonable time.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, especially considering that for you, it's not a primary goal either. For
Yeah.
you, your primary goal is strength and muscle development, and flexibility was something that you were like, okay, well, this is part of our program. I'm going to do this. So when Richard talks about those results, it never came at the cost of the development of strength and muscle, right? It was always like, how do I fit this in with my other stuff, which is pretty cool. So there's really three aspects to what I'm going to talk about now. There's developing strength at end range in the agonist, developing strength at end range in the antagonist, so opposing muscles in the system, and then also developing strength through full range. Okay, and the way we do that, there's a video that's about to get posted to YouTube Shorts this week on the middle splits, where we really teach three exercises. Number one is called the pissing dog, overcoming isometric. Number two is called the active middle splits, and number three is the loaded Cossack squat. And now, just like all good programming, periodization is necessary. Okay, it's not like these are the three be all and end all. You'll never need to do anything else exercises. It's not like that. But this is a really good start. And the reason why is because the pissing dog overcoming isometric, it's develops strength in the glutes at end ranges. which means that when you open your legs up into abduction, so abduction, your glutes are shortened. They're in a shortened state, and then you develop strength where it's hardest to produce in the shortened state. The second one, the active middle splits, again, we go into the middle splits, but we actively develop strength in the adductors, so the muscles that are lengthened in the splits, in the middle splits. And then the third exercise, the Cossack squat, the loaded Cossack squat, we are developing strength through full range. And the Cossack squat is such a beautiful exercise, for, not just for the middle splits, because it also is really, really good at getting those knees over toes in the ankle. So it's really good for ankle flexibility, knee flexibility as well through compression in the knee, and also for the adductors and hamstrings for the middle splits. So yeah, three really, really good exercises. Hey, Richie?
Yeah, I really like the Cossack squat for that reason. You got a lot of different joints that you're mobilizing in one movement. So even if your goal isn't necessarily just middle splits, it's great for improving ankles and hips in general. I really like it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So the way this works is what you really want to be doing. This is like a lot of questions that we get asked on the. Of course, I'll address like the really basic stuff first. So how much of this do you do? So when you do a middle splits workout, what I recommend is that you start with the pissing dog. It's a really good, like it really sends the right signal through the nervous system for the flexibility that you're going to be doing. Actually, you know what I'd actually say is to warm up, you just do a set of Cossack squats. So you can do a general warm up, but then just do a few Cossack squats. It's really going to warm the body up the right way to do it. And then as a basic middle splits workout, you could do 3 to 5 sets of the pissing dog, so where you're really strengthening the glutes and you're strengthening at end range, and then 3 to 5 sets of the active middle splits, where you're developing strength in the adductors right through that range. And why do you do it that way? Because you want to warm up first. That's why you do your Cossack squats first, of course. And then by doing the pissing dog, overcoming isometric first, you're developing strength in the glutes at end range, and you're sending a signal through the central nervous system that you can develop strength here in this end range. And that is going to allow you to access a greater range when you do your middle splits. And then when you do the middle splits, you can go to a greater range and you develop strength there. You really solidify that into your body, into your central nervous system. That's what it's all about. So how do you use the Cossack squats then? Good question. I'm glad you asked. The Cossack squats I would do as a supplementary exercise to your squat workout once a week. So just by doing the Cossack squats once a week, so you do, I wouldn't probably ever do Cossack squats as my primary strength movement for a squat workout, just because the way that you want to choose your primaries and your supplementaries in your squat workout is you want to think about which is like in a strength workout, the first thing you have to think of is when you do strength training, what's the goal? The goal is to develop strength. So you want to use the exercise first that develops the most strength, and that's always going to be some form of squatting, like a back squat or a front squat or a low bar squat or something like that. So if you do your Cossack squats first, you're going to fatigue your muscles and your nervous system, and then when you go to do your squats after that, you won't be able to lift as much. Train that way, you won't get as strong. Yeah. So that's why we do Cossack squats as a supplementary. Would you agree with that, Richard? With that
Yeah,
approach?
100%. But you can use it as a warm up. To the point where you're not going to fatigue. You're not loading the Cossack squats anymore. That it just sort of prepares your legs for the squatting and doesn't
The issues that we face.
through that range of motion that you want for a squat. But it also gives you that daily practice of doing that, and that's a big part of your flexibility journey and getting better at the middle splits is like the frequency in which you do it.
Yep.
Doesn't fatigue you, like Rab was saying. If you're doing a squat workout, you don't want to load them up to the point where you're really fatiguing your muscles before the squats. Otherwise, you're not going to squat as much. So, yeah, just
Yep.
as a warm
Yep.
up, not as a primary form of leg training.
Yep. And this is what I do with my Cossacks, use it as a supplementary exercise for your squats. So it's a great way to add volume because you will still develop strength. So it adds volume, which is one of the main goals of a supplementary exercise, is to add volume to the primaries to develop more strength, build more muscle, all that good stuff. But when you do Cossack squats once a week as a supplementary, as long as you go full range of motion, you don't need to do a real heavy weight. And in fact, if your goal is to get better at the middle splits, and you're doing a weight that's like, you're thinking, I'm going to really load this up, and you get so much weight that it stops you being able to go full range of motion, it won't have the same positive impact on your middle splits, not by a long shot. So yeah, that's I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. It's this: develop strength in the glutes, so at end range. Okay, and a good way to start is with this pissing dog, overcoming isometric. Then develop strength in the adductors at end range, and then doing your loaded Cossack squats once a week as a supplementary exercise, but also as warm ups. Yeah. And a lot of people might think this is a really interesting one, because I was certainly under this false pretense, which is once a week enough? Am I going to get more flexible if I only do this once a week? And it absolutely is. And I want to talk about that for a minute. When I started doing middle splits training, when I started doing flexibility training, like proper flexibility training, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was doing middle splits 5 days a week because that was my benchmark for success. I wanted to get flexible through my whole body, but my first real milestone was I wanted to be able to do the middle splits, because I'd been trying to do it for almost 20 years before that through martial arts, and I just couldn't get there. So I was doing it 5 days a week, and I would make some progress, and then I would do a small muscle tear in my adductors, and then I would have to recover from the muscle tear and go backwards, and then it was just like that, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. And it was when I started working with Joachim that he made me start doing middle splits only once a week. And I was like, really, is that enough? Is that enough? And he was talking to me about recovery and how much recovery plays a part in it and everything. And of course, that makes sense to me, because I'd been programming for strength training for a long time. And it's just that I really thought you had to do a flexibility movement every day if you wanted to get better at it, because that's what I'd been told in the past. Everybody else that I'd learned flexibility from said you got to stretch every day, and if you don't stretch every day, you're not going to get better. It's all about, the more the merrier. And I got better results in those first sort of 3 to 6 months with Joachim through far less volume, like 20% of the volume, but I got better results from it. So highly recommend that you only do middle splits training once a week. It's such a high demand on the body, you need to recover from it. But then what you want to address is you can do mobility training daily. And mobility training, for example, could be just like what Richard said before, doing Cossack squats as a warm up. You could do that every day, doing, as long as it's not pushing yourself, and basically you're not trying to see gains in your flexibility when you do mobility training. You're just doing it as like a warm up or a cool down or something like that. And then you save that really hard session, or where you're really pushing your flexibility and trying to get better at it. You save that for once a week.
Yeah, I think what you said there is true. Like, happened to me as well. Like when you're pushing stretching, loaded stretching, these active movements that are very demanding, they can make you quite sore. So your recovery is important. A lot of people think that, stretching is like deloading the body. Like, it's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be passive. It's, you can do it every day, and you should do it every day to get flexible, like you said. But yeah, the type of flexibility training we're talking about is actually quite intense on the body. It's very much a load to your muscles. And if you're doing leg training on top of that as well, it's you're going to find it very hard to recover in between sessions. So you're probably going to find that you get stiffer, more sore, if you're programming that too frequently. So yeah,
Yep.
the programming really does matter.
It's an interesting concept, as well, isn't it, Richie, as well, because the so many people mess this up. People seem to think with flexibility that it's just like you've got to do more, and you've got to push harder, and you've got to go for it. But something else that should really be considered here is, what else do you want to get better at? Because if all you're thinking about is flexibility, and the only thing that you're looking for right now is an improvement in flexibility, the time will come, and this is if you get it right, the time will come when you will see significant improvements in your flexibility, and then you'll start to notice other areas of your health and fitness that you need work on. You'll start to realize that you're a flexible person, but you're not very strong,
Yep.
or you're a flexible person, but you're not very fit, or whatever it is, like
Yep.
that always happens. We've got people that work with us that are so flexible and have been doing yoga for like a decade and they're really, really good at it, but they came to us because they're really weak and they don't have the strength that they want and they're prone to injury.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, of course, you've got the other people who are really, really strong and not very flexible. So you really also need to consider, what strength training am I doing? What am I doing to keep myself fit? What am I doing to make sure that I don't put on weight as I age? And then you've got to think, how much time do you have?
Mm.
So it's not just about recovery. It's about all the other things that you have to do, because even if we're just talking flexibility, you don't want to just work on the middle splits. You also got to work on front splits. You got to work on
Yep.
hip rotation. You got to work on, thoracic extension. You got to work on hip flexion. You got to work on shoulder flexibility. So you got to fit all these things into a week, and then you've also got to do your strength training and everything else and all that stuff. And we do all that in an hour with the UMS. We make sure that in an hour we do strength, flexibility, and fitness, because we've found that if you don't, you do get to this point where you start to see, okay, I've gotten better at this, but I've gotten worse at that. So now I've got to start to focus on that. And you're always on this sort of pendulum way of training where you're getting better at one thing, but you're getting worse
Yep.
at this other thing. So then you swing back to the other way.
I think the better question is, like, the question was, how to do the side splits if you're not flexible? The real question is, how do you the side splits if you're not flexible and you've got work, all these other commitments, these other
Yep.
goals?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many more
That's a good
variables
point.
you have to take care of, so it's not just the optimal way to get middle splits. It's how do you fit it in with everything
Yeah.
else in the win
Yeah.
in the windmill, what's the word I'm struggling for, the tornado of life, that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so true, man. So true. And, if we go back to what we've just explained in this video, this is a really, really good way that you can do a middle splits workout once a week and get it done in a really nice amount of time, and still get everything else done that you need to do. So yeah, I hope you all got something out of that. As always, I mean, we made this video because of the interest in the topic. So if anybody has any questions, if you put any questions in the comments on this video, then we will do our best to answer them. We'll do one of these live streams to talk about whatever it is that you want to know. So hit us up, let us know what you're interested in, and if you haven't done so already, the best way that you can connect with us and get access to our free programs is to go over to Facebook, join the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group, and we give away a couple of our best programs over there, the 20-minute flexibility routine and the 10-minute warm-up routine. They're totally free. You can get them for free in that Facebook group. You can go and check out our website if you want to have a look at them there as well, unitygym.com. If you prefer to listen to this content, you can go to our podcast as well. Go to wherever you like watching podcasts and search Sound of Movement. We've got some really good interviews there with industry leaders. So yeah, we've got a couple of comments here. San Francisco fangirl loves your content. Thank you so much. And Lars is saying, are women naturally more flexible? That is an interesting question. Are women naturally more flexible than men, or is it a myth? That's an interesting question. And I don't have a definitive answer for you. I've got what I can tell you, and then Richard can chime in as well. I've asked the same question, and I've asked it to the person that I usually go to for answers like this is a friend of ours, Dr. Tony Battaji. He's got a PhD in exercise sports science, over 25 years in the industry. He's an exceptionally knowledgeable person. And I remember asking him that same question about 10 years ago. And I'm pretty sure the answer that he gave me was, he said, no, it's a myth. There's no difference there's a couple of factors here. Number one, women do become more flexible during pregnancy and during birth. There's hormones that get released that help loosen up the body for them to be able to give birth. But beyond that, there's nothing that makes a woman more flexible than a man. What it is lifestyle. There's another thing as well, is that women's pelvises have a different makeup to a man's pelvis. So, you can look at the shape of a woman's body. Often, a lot of women have a pelvis that's wider than a man's, and so the femur sits in the acetabular joint differently than a man's. Um, but beyond that, it's not like they have more flexible muscles than we do. What it is usually it's usually that women choose to do different things in their life than men do. And when you see what, at least in Australia, boys at school are like, when I say at least in Australia, I'm only saying that because I'm Australian. I don't know what it's like around the world. But in school, boys play more aggressive style sports that don't take their bodies through the same ranges of motion. And what a lot of girls do for fun is that they mimic dancing and things like that, at least in my generation. And that takes you through a greater range of motion. Women, from what I've seen, is this is just subjective. Okay. So please don't anybody say, oh, that's sexist or anything. I'm just saying what I've observed.
Yeah.
Women are more into dancing and yoga and things like that. Guys are more into just strength training. So you've got one pursuit of practice that makes you more flexible and one that makes you less flexible. And that's really what it is.
Yeah. So in short, it's lifestyle factors from basically young age to older age over genetic or gender differences, really.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then AAVV is saying, can men do the splits? Absolutely. I can do the splits. Go to go to our YouTube channel, click on the YouTube on Unity Gym YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure you'll see thumbnails of me doing the splits on a bunch of our videos. And many of our members can do the splits as well. And if you need any more examples, just have a look at Olympic gymnasts. Go on Google. Yeah, if you go to YouTube, you'll see the very first video, the thumbnail is me doing the middle splits holding a weight. So yes, absolutely, men can do the splits. All right, tribe. I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the love. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel, and all that good stuff.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.